The National Association of Attorneys General penned a letter this week condemning last week's insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. Attorneys General from across the country signed onto the document, but as Brock Turner reports, the signature of Indiana's newly elected AG, Todd Rokita, was notably missing.
And his company.
Todd Rokita was one of only 4 attorneys general who refused to sign the letter from the bipartisan group of state and territory officials. The letter called the insurrection a very dark day in America, and the attorneys general pledged as those charged with enforcing the law to make clear that violence like what happened at the Capitol would not go unchecked. Rokita says he did not sign the letter because the National Association of Attorneys General didn't release a similar letter following national unrest last summer. While most of the protests across the country in the wake of George Floyd's death were peaceful, there was violence and property damage in several U.S. cities, including Indianapolis. However, the correlation Rokita makes is a false equivalent, according to Dr. Emmett Riley, an associate professor and director of Africana Studies at DePaul University.
You have a group of protesters who are calling attention to a real and systematic issue surrounding policing and inequality and the way in which policing happens to majority Black and communities of color.
Riley says that's a stark contrast from what occurred last week at the United States Capitol.
On the other hand, you have a group of white supremacists who are inspired by an impeached president who lost re-election that attempted to prevent a constitutional process in terms of certifying the election results. So I think that these are clear distinctions here.
Rokita issued a separate letter condemning the violence on office letterhead. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Brock Turner.
Rokita's letter came days after reports a group with ties to robocalls asking recipients to march on Washington to stop the steal provided over $1 million to Rokita and former Attorney General Curtis Hill in campaign donations. Rokita's campaign spokesman declined an interview but insisted he had no involvement with the calls.